Here's a question for you. Are you leaving thousands of dollars on the table by not negotiating properly with your suppliers, especially Chinese or Asian suppliers for your Amazon FBA business? My name is Dan, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to secure the best price, the best terms, and overall just get the highest profit in your Amazon FBA business so that you can sell like a pro. Stick with me till the end of the video, because at the end, I'm going to be showing you a free resource, a free course that I put together that will show you how to start making passive income with Amazon ASAP with the best method today. Here's the reality. Negotiating with suppliers isn't just a nice to have skill. It's what really separates the pros from the beginners and the amateurs, right? On Amazon, a lot of people, they struggle with tiny margins, tiny profit margins. So many sellers, they spend all that time, they invest in inventory, they even invest in courses or mentorship, and then they end up only making 5% or 10% profit margins. What's the point? I'd rather open a lemonade stand, at that point, because really there's no point of selling. With a lemonade stand, you're profiting probably 60 or 80 cents per cup of lemonade. Maybe with inflation, it's a little more now. But putting in all that work, time, and effort just to start a business that nets you $3 profit per unit is really not worth it. It's not how I made my money on Amazon. It's not how anybody made their money on Amazon that really achieved true freedom. The way that I made my money on Amazon is by selling products that profit at least $10 per unit. And so the method that now works the best, and it's the method that I created to combat these issues I saw, and I was frustrated with, people following the wrong information, to the point where Amazon FBA just became like this, oh, it's too saturated, it doesn't work anymore, FBA fees are too high, nobody really profits. And I realized, okay, well, it's because they're doing it wrong. And so that's when I created this new method, the high profit brand method. It's what I'm using myself. And I'm going to actually use the numbers from my most recent product as an example to show you, how much better this method is than what everybody else is doing. With the high profit brand method, we're only focused on selling products that net at least $10 to $15 profit per unit. Closer to the $15 is what we want. And we definitely don't want to sell any product that cannot be sold for over $40. So we don't want to sell anything that is like $25 or $10. So $40 at the absolute minimum, and that's in US dollars on the American marketplace. Below that, with shipping and with all the costs, it's just too much. And the margin for error is very little. Because the higher your profit margin, the more room you have for PPC and for just advertising spend and things like that. So now let's get into the first step of negotiating the best possible deal with Chinese suppliers and with non-Chinese suppliers. So there's a very different set of rules depending on if your supplier's in China or not. There's a myth that on Amazon, really, it's like only sourcing from China and reselling on Amazon. It's really not the case because, in fact, my most recent suppliers are not from China at all. China was really good when I started, and it's still good for many products. However, I've noticed that costs have gone up and, just quality has gone down. So it's not the case for everything, but nowadays I'm selling products that are very specialized and they're from very specific regions in the world. So that's why Chinese suppliers don't really work for me anyway. But the rules for negotiating with them are very different. So I'm going to go over everything that I've learned so that you can negotiate the best terms, no matter if your supplier is from China or not. So the first step in effective negotiation with suppliers is to gather data. So before you even think about placing any kind of inventory order, you want to be armed with data. This is where most sellers fail. They go in blind and they don't know what a fair, reasonable price for their product is per unit from China or, not from China, so from wherever part of the world that you're sourcing from. And the best way to do that is to contact many suppliers. You really want to be contacting multiple suppliers, especially if you're looking for suppliers in China, because the prices that you'll find on Alibaba are typically oftentimes not going to be the prices that you're actually going to be getting when you actually message them. By the way, if you're messaging suppliers, if you haven't yet, or maybe you're struggling with not getting the answers that you want, I actually am giving away my free updated supply templates that are working right now. The link for that is in the description down below. You can just get those and you can copy and paste and just put in your company and your product in there when you message suppliers. And with those templates, you're guaranteed to get answers. So message 3 to 5 suppliers at least. I would even go as far as 5 to 10, especially if you're sourcing from China. For my most recent product, I actually messaged a few suppliers, but not like 5 or 10, just because there aren't that many suppliers in the first place for it. It's a pretty secret product. Maybe you're curious and you want to know. But on Amazon, we don't want to share that because obviously we don't want to attract competition. Maybe one day when it gets big, I'm excited. So anyway, you want to contact 5 to 10 suppliers because then you can compare the prices that your suppliers are giving you. Let's say that your first supplier is giving you $3 per unit. Second one is giving you $5 per unit. Third one is giving you $2, right? So you can kind of tell, let's say if all the suppliers are telling you $2 per unit, one of them is saying $5, either they're trying to scam you or their product is, just different or better, right? So that's the way to do it. And there's something called MOQ, so minimum order quantity. That's what it stands for. MOQ is, let's just say if you contact a supplier and you ask for the product price, they're going to not just tell you the price, they're going to tell you the price for a certain amount of units. So let's say they're going to say for 200 MOQ, it's going to be $2. For 500 MOQ, it's going to be $1.50. For 1,000 MOQ, it's going to be $1, something like that. And your goal is to figure out the lowest that they're going to go. And I'm talking about Chinese suppliers specifically here because with suppliers outside of China, there typically is a lot less negotiation involved. And we'll get into that later on in this video. So you want to figure out what is the lowest, the price floor, the lowest price that they'll go. And you want to get them about halfway there because, obviously suppliers, you have to understand, they make most of their money on repeat orders and on big bulk orders. They're not making much money off of your little 100 or 200 unit order, to be honest with you. And so that's why they do charge a higher amount for that upfront order. But if you really explain to them that, if you come off professional, you don't come off just like a get rich quick person who's just trying to, make a quick buck and then just, basically is wasting their time. If you show them that you're interested in a long-term mutually beneficial relationship, they're going to really like working with you and they're going to be more flexible. So with suppliers in China, everything is negotiable. Just remember that, okay? Even if they say no, it's kind of like a manipulative, let's just say maybe girlfriend or something like that. I'm just using an example, right? If they're saying no, you can basically just ghost them. And then, she might come back in like a few days and, say, sorry, suddenly this works or something, right? So I'm just using that as an example. So, there are some games involved with Chinese suppliers. Obviously, the best suppliers are the ones that, they don't play any games and everything's very simple. If you got a supplier like that and they're giving you a fair price and you got a good profit for your product, go with them, okay? Because there are just so many suppliers that play games and it's annoying. That's why it's so important to follow the right information here so that you don't get trapped by a scam supplier. So get multiple quotes and then you want to negotiate the price. What you do is you say, I've spoken to my CEO. You don't have to say you're the CEO. You can just say you're the purchasing agent. And you say, I've spoken to my CEO and unfortunately we cannot do this price for this many units. We can do, and then you can say a price. I wouldn't try, don't try to say $1 for, if you're trying to order, let's say a 200 MOQ or 500 MOQ and, they're telling you it's $5, but, for 5,000 units, it's $1, they're not going to give you $1 for 500 units. They might give you 2 or 3. So I would say meet them halfway. Because obviously they want to incentivize you to purchase more units. It doesn't really matter anyway, because what people don't understand is that the profits that companies make on Amazon in the US and Canada or in the West, versus the profits that suppliers make, whether they're in China or not, the profits we make are way higher, right? So we're making profits per unit of $10 a unit, $15 per unit, whereas suppliers in China or in other countries, they're making profits in the pennies or maybe 50 cents per unit. So to try to get rid of their profit margin that's already slim is not worth it. Factories, they make profit because they sell in huge amounts, right? So, if you try to squeeze them too hard, they are going to bite back and they're going to screw something up in your order and it's going to cause you to get bad reviews and it's going to shut down your listing faster than you can even blink. So don't do that. Just always be fair. Okay. And step 2 is start building a relationship. So, most people think that a supplier is just like a slave for you to, get your products for Amazon. It's not the case because without a supplier, your product is basically a dud. Nothing's going to happen and you have no freedom because you're not making any profit. So just, always be professional, be respectful, understand, especially with non-American or English speaking suppliers that, if you're trying to speak English and there's a language barrier, just be respectful towards their culture, right? Don't laugh at them if they're saying words like dear. I mean, it can be interesting at first if you haven't spoken to Chinese suppliers, but they do definitely use words like dear. They'll call you dear and things like that. They're just trying to be nice. Okay. So just be respectful, don't be racist, right? Just obviously like, don't be a bad person. So, just build rapport and just be nice. And, the longer that you show that you're serious about this, right? So there's like a camp of people, 99% of people that they probably will never even place their first order, and there's 1% that will. So be in that 1% that shows that you're serious. They can instantly recognize that. They know the patterns of somebody who purchases and somebody who doesn't. Now, if we talk about negotiation with non-Chinese suppliers in terms of the price, typically with non-Chinese suppliers, culturally speaking, they will just send you a price sheet and the price is not inflated, it's not made up, it's just what it is on the sheet, and that's it. So that makes it very easy for you. For example, for my most recent product, I didn't have to negotiate the price because the price was already great, and I did my profit calculation and it was phenomenal. It was incredible. It was like 60%, 65%. So I'm like, okay, great. So with non-Chinese suppliers, you don't have to negotiate. Typically there are no games. It's just like, here's the price, take it or leave it sort of thing. If you try to negotiate, you're gonna be like, no, we're sorry, this is the price. Right? It's just a cultural difference, so something to be aware of. So it typically is a lot easier to deal with non-Chinese suppliers, but still, with the quality versus price that you get from Chinese suppliers, I would say for half of the products out there, it's still worth it. But we'll see in the future. We don't know how that's going to go down in the future with geopolitics or if quality starts going down from suppliers in China. If you're not happy with whatever the supplier is giving you in terms of price, use silence as a tool. Don't be afraid. Silence is a powerful tool in negotiation, and you want to just give them the silent treatment. You just want to kind of R-bomb or reply bomb them, as we say, millennial slang. Suppliers want your business, then definitely come back with a counter offer. You give them a few days, and when they do, that's your chance to lock in that good price that you want. This is better with, again, Asian suppliers, Chinese suppliers, Alibaba suppliers. If they're non-Chinese suppliers, I would not play any games. There's just no point. Next, negotiating MOQ. So let's say that your supplier is saying that the minimum order quantity for you to have a logo and a custom product packaging on your product is 500. You want to negotiate that as low as it can be. So typically as a beginner, I would not spend more than 5 to 7K on your Amazon first product. I would say 3K, 4K is the perfect amount. I actually invested 2.5, I believe, into my first product, into my first order back in 2017. Again, prices were a little bit cheaper back then, but I would definitely not invest more than 3 to 5. And so with that in mind, for your first product inventory order, because you're starting this business, you don't know how it's going to do. Obviously, you're ambitious and you made a decision to succeed and you're excited for the freedom this can bring you. You want to still be safe, right? You don't want to be reckless just in case, it's a dud and doesn't work the way that you want it to. And so that's why it's better to order smaller order quantities. So obviously the more expensive the unit price, so let's say if it's more than $10, like more than $7 per unit, the lower the quantity to reach that 5K number. So I would say good MOQs to start off are like 300 units, 500 units, 800 units, 1,000 units. I would not order more than 1,000 units of a product if you're a beginner because you're just not experienced enough. Really, your first product is going to be a learning lesson. There's going to be so many lessons in it. No matter if you follow these videos, you take our wonderful Amazon Pro course, it's just, there's nothing that can replace experience. So I would say go for an MOQ like that. And if your supplier is insisting that you order 1,000, just be like, sorry, we need to place a test order. Our CEO is not allowing us. We need to do a test order. Explain to them that it's just your first order. Later on, you're excited to order 5,000, 10,000 units, whatever the case may be, based on your calculations. The next thing you want to negotiate is your payment terms. So never pay 100% upfront. Okay, so you want to pay a deposit first. So whether that's 30% or 50% upfront of the final pro forma invoice, your quote, right? So it's on your pro forma invoice. It's the PDF invoice that they send you. So it's usually 30/70 or 50/50. And how it works is you pay 30% upfront, they manufacture the units, and before they ship them out, you pay the remainder 70%. So sometimes they'll insist on 50/50. If they're insisting on 100% upfront, red flag, because most suppliers in China will do 37 or 50/50. It's not a problem. Because it's just fair, right? And also, if you're using Chinese suppliers, make sure that you're paying them through Alibaba Trade Assurance. It's extremely, extremely important because Alibaba Trade Assurance will protect you in case anything goes wrong. Finally, make sure you are getting samples. So a very, very key point in the high profit brand method that I'm teaching, that is the best method that people are using to make money on Amazon and to achieve freedom. Basically, you want to be improving the product. So you're not just taking a product on Amazon, you are actually thinking about ways to improve it, and you are working with a product designer to add a feature or change the design to make it better. And so with that, obviously, you want to make sure that you see the product and it's perfect and you're happy with it before you place your big inventory order. So you want to make sure that you're ordering custom branded product samples from your supplier. Not all suppliers are going to be willing to do this, but the best ones will. For example, my most recent non-Chinese supplier, they're happy to do a custom sample just the way that I want it, even without me paying for my whole order, right? I didn't even pay a deposit, and they're like, no problem, we'll send it to you. So that's usually rare. Usually what the case is that sometimes they'll say no problem and they'll send it to you. Obviously, you're gonna have to pay them for that sample, or they'll say you have to pay for your entire order with us before we can send you this custom sample. I would not. I would only pay the 30/70 or 50/50 once you're certain that this supplier is the one you're going to go with and they can manufacture the product exactly how you want it. And you want to make sure that you've tested this sample. You want to make sure you've gotten it. You don't want to just sell a product that you've never seen, okay? So those are the main keys here in terms of supplier negotiation. What will really help you is my free supplier template. It's key. It will get you those responses from suppliers. Even me, most recently, I actually had to send emails a few times to the same supplier, and then eventually I actually picked up the phone and called them, and then they actually noticed me. They were a bigger supplier, but you know, the supplier templates really helped me, and I've been using them for years. So the link for that is down below. You'll also find my free ChatGPT prompts to help you build your business and also find products and do many other things. And now that you know how to negotiate like a pro, it's time to really build that business, put these strategies into action. If you want to learn the high profit brain method, you can check out the free Amazon FBA crash course. It's down below. And if you're actually serious about building this business and you're not afraid to invest less than the price of a coffee a day, check out the Amazon Pro course. It is my final Amazon course. There will be no Amazon courses after it, I think, because it is the most complete course out there. 7 years of experience. I was one of the first people to show Amazon to YouTube and to, you know, really get big with it and teach thousands of people. I'm sure that many sellers out there are successful because of, you know, my work. So I'm excited to bring you to that as well. So let's work together. The link is down below. It comes with my one-on-one mentorship and an amazing community of people that are also on the same path. If you are loving my videos and you got some value here, subscribe to my channel on Ecom Academy here. I'm hosting weekly mentorship sessions every Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. We cover a whole range of topics, the cutting edge on Amazon and e-commerce. We're building the next wave of e-commerce successes and entrepreneurs and freedom builders. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.